Hello everyone! I've got an insane missing persons case to go over with you today. A case with many twists and turns that's over a decade in the making. With that being said, this is Sarah and Jacob Hoggle's story. It's hard to even really put into words. I mean, you realize how long it's been, and then you realize how little has really happened. Troy Turner said in an interview with WMR2 Baltimore News, "The last decade of Troy Turner's life has been filled with unimaginable pain. Sarah and Jacob Hoggle are Troy's son and daughter. Sarah, she was tough as nails and just amazing," he said. And Jacob, he was probably the sweetest out of, all my kids in terms of only wanting to spend time with his brother and sister. They were 2 and 3 years of age the last time he saw them, just over 10 years ago. It all started on September 6, 2014. Catherine, their mother, had previously been diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia, but at that time, she seemed to be at the most ordinary level she had been in a long time. Considering her past struggles with mental health, the family had put together a plan so she wouldn't be left alone with the kids. They had attended a few family events during the day, but Troy was scheduled to work later that night. When that time rolled around, he kissed his children goodbye and told them he loved them. The plan was for the kids to go to Catherine's parents' house with at least one of them there to supervise. Soon after Troy left for work, Catherine left alone with Jacob, presumably to get pizza. When she returned, Jacob was not with her. She told her parents and Troy that she took Jacob to a friend's house for a sleepover. In Troy's mind, that didn't make sense. 2-year-olds don't do sleepovers. However, he was at work and he was not alerted immediately when she got back without their son. Troy returned home later that night, unaware anything was wrong. He figured it was the middle of the night, he assumed the kids were in their beds sleeping, and he didn't want to wake them, and went to bed. He would soon come to regret that decision. When he woke up the next morning, Catherine and Sarah were gone, as were his keys, wallet, and car. Troy then called Catherine's parents to see if they were with them. They weren't, so he called 911. As he's on the phone with the dispatch operator, Catherine pulls back up, but the kids were not in the car. She told Troy that the kids were at daycare, which they'd been looking into for the kids at the time. He believed her because the process had sounded similar to what they'd done before and they went about their day. At that point, Troy was still unaware his kids were actually missing and not at daycare. So, he took Catherine to her day program and ran a couple of errands, but things still seemed off. He remembers Catherine's mom seeming stressed, and that also put him on alert. Later on, he picked Catherine up from her day program and told her he wanted to go and get the kids together, which ended up turning into a wild goose chase. Catherine then said she couldn't remember the name, address, or location of the daycare where she said she dropped off their kids. She took Troy to one part of Montgomery County and then another. Troy demanded she give him the phone number so he could call, but she said she didn't have the number. He then said, "Let me get this straight. You drop my kids off at daycare. You don't know where it is. You don't know how to get there. You don't know the address. You don't have a phone number, don't know the name. And you dropped our kids off there, and you don't even have a phone number?" She replied, "Well, they have my number." At that point, Troy called Catherine's mom, Lindsay, who had also been searching daycares that day. He was still unaware Jacob never made it home the previous night. Catherine ends up giving Troy the name and location of one more daycare to go to, which they try, and no one had seen or even heard of their kids there. Troy then drives away from the daycare with Catherine still in the car. She then asks, "Where are we going?" Hesitant to answer, he says, "We're going to the police station." She then said, "For what?" He said, "Because my kids are missing." She replied, "They're not missing." She then tells Troy about another daycare but asks to stop at Chick-fil-A first. And because of the medication she's on requiring her to have caffeine and sugar in her system, they stop. When they get back in the car, after stopping for food, Catherine returns to Chick-fil-A to use the bathroom and never comes back.
As the couple gets ready to leave, Catherine says she needs a refill.
She went to the restroom. She said she was calling her mom to let her know we were going to get the other kids and everything was fine.
Phone records reveal Catherine actually tried calling a cab. Security video shows Catherine return to the counter, but not for long as Troy waits outside.
When Troy realized she ran off, he went straight to the police station. Lindsay gets there too, and as they talk to police to explain the situation, that's when Troy learns that Jacob wasn't home the night before. Police eventually find Catherine, but to this day, Sarah and Jacob remain missing. At one point, Catherine was charged with murder in the kids' case, but was found not competent to stand trial, and the charges were eventually dropped because of state law. The current law says that if, after 5 years, a defendant is still not found competent to stand trial, the charges must be dropped.
We begin today with a renewed search to find two missing children in Montgomery County. Police took their mother, Catherine Hoggle, into custody late Friday night, but her children are still nowhere to be found. Caroline Tucker joins us live from Darnestown with more on today's search. Caroline, what's the latest?
By search and rescue teams here in Darnestown. They resumed their search early this morning to find these two Maryland toddlers who have gone missing, Jacob and Sarah Hoggle. Now, currently, there is a team in this wooded area behind me off of Route 118. The search began just after 9:30 this morning. Now, canines have been helping crews sniff out any scents that may come across throughout a very large area. The Montgomery County Police Search and Rescue tells us they have focused on the area from Darnestown to Clarksburg. Today, there are 7 volunteer teams and 1 paid team combing through an area around the Seneca Creek. They say they have no new information as to the whereabouts of the children, though. Now, late Friday, police found the children's mother, Catherine Hoggle, and charged her with child neglect and interfering with an investigation. Police say she has only told them the children are safe. Now, Catherine Hoggle is diagnosed as having paranoid schizophrenia, and family members said she had recently gone off her medication. Now, search crews say this has been an exhaustive search.
It's been very exhausting. It's so far this week we've been searching since Tuesday afternoon all the way through this morning. So most of our crews are getting a little bit of sleep, coming back in, working full days, 12, 17 hours a day. So it has been exhausting, but everyone's putting in their time and their weight and pulling forward to look for these kids.
Back here live on the scene off of Route 118 in Darnestown, and search crews, as we said, are in this wooded area behind us. This is not an easy area to go through, but the canines are helping them with this job and this task. Now, Montgomery County Police tell us that they will continue to search throughout the day today and into the evening until at least dark falls. For now, in Darnestown, Caroline Tucker, News Channel 8.
All right, Caroline Tucker, thanks so much following that story live for us.
In 2025, she was re-indicted on charges for killing her 2 children, after Catherine allegedly confessed to strangling the 2 kids when she was talking to someone in her day program. However, their bodies have never been found.
Today marks 11 years since 2 young Montgomery County children went missing. Jacob and Sarah Hoggle were just 2 and 3 years old when they disappeared back in 2014. They were last seen with their mom, Catherine Hoggle. She was arrested for their murders, but was found mentally incompetent to stand trial. She spent years in a mental facility and was then re-indicted for murder last month. News 4's Amy Cho has more on the years-long search for answers as family and friends hold a vigil and vow to keep looking as long as it takes.
We just want to find the kids. We want to find my babies, that's it.
It's been more than a decade since Dad Troy Turner has seen his children, Jacob and Sarah Hoggle. But after all this time, he's never given up hope.
I remember them as my babies, you know, as 2 of the sweetest souls that ever lived. Sarah is one of the toughest people probably who ever lived, even though she was only 3. Jacob, just unselfish to a fault.
Jacob and Sarah were last seen with their mom, Catherine Hoggle, in 2014. She claimed she dropped the kids off at an unknown daycare, but wouldn't say which one. She then disappeared for several days and changed her appearance. Police later arrested her for murdering the children. They've still never been found.
We don't want them to be forgotten.
Right.
I mean, it's been 11 years, and we just don't want the community to stop supporting and stop sharing.
Hoggle's defense attorney says she suffers from schizophrenia. More than a dozen doctors found her incompetent to stand trial, and prosecutors initially dropped the murder charges in 2022. Hoggle was living in a mental facility for years, but was released to a halfway house in July. Prosecutors then charged her with murder again, this time saying they had new evidence. According to prosecutors, Hoggle allegedly confessed during group therapy that she strangled the kids and also made a drawing showing children being thrown in a trash can.
Justice for Sarah and Jacob, and
Yeah.
we are their voices, and we just need to continue saying their names and keeping them out there.
This age progression shows what the children would look like today as another painful year passes and the community renews a promise to these 2 young children.
We're going to find them, or I'll die looking for them.
Amy Cho, News 4.
If you have any information that can help locate the Hoggle children or help police solve this case, please call NCMEC at 1-800-843-5688 or Montgomery County Police at 301-279-8000. Thank you all for watching, and as usual, if you're a fan of urban legends, folklore, unsolved mysteries, cold cases, and all things mysterious, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel.